Meeting. Good afternoon and welcome to the Roswell Mayor and Council Committee meeting for June 24th, 2025 here in the city of Roswell. I'll begin by acknowledging the elected body present, Councilmember Sarah Beeson, Councilmember Christine Hall, Councilmember G. Lee Hills, Councilmember David Johnson, Councilmember William Morthland, and Councilmember Alan Sells. I'm Sharon Izo, Deputy City Administrator and Senior Vice President for Infrastructure, and I am joined by Assistant City Attorney Joe Cusack and and our City Clerk Nancy Long. The purpose of committee meetings are for the city departments to convey information to the Mayor and City Council and discuss initiatives listed on the published agenda. By ordinance, the committee consists of the Mayor, members of the City Council, and the City Administrator. As Deputy City Administrator, I will be the chair of today's committee meeting. This is a public meeting, but not a public hearing. Therefore, while the meeting is open to the public, we will not take public comments or questions during committee meetings unless specifically authorized by the Mayor and Council. Public comments or questions are received at the regular City Council meetings held at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers on the second and fourth Monday of each month, and the fifth Monday of each month in open forum. We do encourage citizens to engage on our online platforms, and if you have questions or need information regarding any matter, our staff is available to provide that information to you. In addition, if you have service requests or need to report a concern, we highly recommend utilizing the City of Roswell app or service web portal. We encourage you to view the calendar of events at roswell365.com. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the committee meeting minutes from June 10th, 2025. I'll entertain a motion. Councilmember Johnson? And second by Councilmember Beeson. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. We'll move on to the regular agenda. Item number 2, consideration of the transmittal of the 2025 CWP CIE update presented by Michelle Alexander, our Community Development Director. Ms. Alexander. Thank you.
Good evening. So this is the annual impact fee. It's the financial report essentially and the backup requirements. So the purpose of the agenda item is to get your approval to submit the annual report and the backup items to the state. Development fee, impact fees are a one-time payment for growth-related infrastructure. It's created from the Georgia Development Act, which governs the program. The Department of Community Affairs, DCEA, is the oversight mechanism and enforces the rules, and it's to whom we submit our documents. Part of the regulations are that we submit an annual report, and we have to describe how much impact fees, the amount of impact fees collected, encumbered, and used during the preceding year by the category of the use that the city applied to it. And in addition to the annual financial report, there is a capital improvement report, and that's the list of projects that you've decided you would like to be able to use those impact fees. You're not required to use impact fees for that list. It's just the eligible list. So every year DCA says, let's take a look. Have you changed it? Have you updated it? Similarly, there's a community work program. That's another list of projects that are included on your 2040 comprehensive plan, and those are a list of activities. And so similarly, DCA says, give us your financials, but also show us how are you in implementing from your 2040 comprehensive plan. So the CIE, I don't need to go into all the details of it. I know that you've seen it. We come to you every year, once a year, with this report. The CIE, like I said, is the capital improvement projects. They're coming from your master plans and from the comprehensive plan, and the staff has updated it according to whatever policy you've most recently approved. Just to avoid any confusion, so that list is based on your 2040 comprehensive plan, which was done 5 years ago. So every year, for 5 years, we bring back to you this capital improvements list, and it gets modified accordingly. It's going to be updated more completely with the comprehensive growth plan. the 2045. So the planning period is 2045, and it's a growth plan that we're just starting. We just introduced the public hearing last night to discuss it. So we'll all have primers on impact fees and comprehensive plans, short-term work programs. You'll see a new CIE and a new community work plan, which is the list of projects associated with your policy. If we'll be bringing it to you on the 14th. If you approve it, we'll submit it to DCA and ARC for review. They will review it. They have a time frame to make sure we bring it back to you and approve it for adoption by October 31st. So that keeps our qualified local government status. And then after that, just putting in perspective, we'll be working pretty closely after that, bringing to you sets of complete policy to consider for your growth plan and these two types of project lists associated with it. So I have some of the details if you want to go through it. This is just a summary. I wanted to explain also, in order to align our reporting with our new fiscal year, which now coincides with the calendar year, we not only are submitting a 12-month period, that would have been the 12-month period following our last report, but we're adding another 6 months to report through December 2024. So next year we'll be fully aligned. Next year we'll just have the normal 12 months, and it'll be our fiscal year 2025 that we're reporting. So it's a little extra for the agencies to look at, but the total expenditures for that time period combined was a little over $1 million. What you probably care more about is what the balance is, and that was, as of the end of December, was $5.8 million was the balance. And so this fund has been generating since, Jackie Dybel told me, 1993. I was looking more at data since 2015, and so since 2015, you've generated about $9 million. So there's the financials. That's part one because of the time frame, the fiscal year, and then we also have the expenditures for that time frame of the what was used to be our fiscal year for 24. And then the same thing for part two is the second part, only a 6-month period going through December of 24. So I can go through the different lists. If you had any questions on the CIE, we just, transportation removed a couple of the projects that were authorized. Fire department also removed one of the fire stations, but that was based on the results of the study that they presented to you last fall and talked about the relocation. And then they added primarily vehicles. So you have a detailed itemized list in your packet. This is just a summary so you get a sense of what is being removed or added. And I'm happy, of course, to go through any of the itemized or the department heads who helped us put this together. And then on the work program, the only things that were added were really to clarify, I think, the changes that we had about the facility services master plan, and also some of the components getting ready that next year we're going to be looking at the North Fulton CTP. So those were the two things, primarily sets that were added to the work program. So that work program is activity-based versus capital improvements, which is, project-based, construction-based infrastructure. And I can keep going. I want to just check in with you. We're asking you to approve that we submit it to the Department of Community Affairs and ARC for review.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander. Any questions or comments?
Yeah.
Councilmember Sells.
Hey, would you go back to the financial page?
I've got a couple. Part one.
Yeah. Just wanted to make sure I understand.
Yep,
I haven't
let's
been
go
through
through.
the
Okay.
comp plan process, praise God, but I will soon. But so what we're saying here is that this is the one we collected 538. That's for
That's right here. That's our total. So I'll back up a bit. We have 3 different programs: recreation and parks, transportation, and public safety, which is really fire and police. So you'll have different facilities for both fire and police under that. Mm-hmm. You have a dollar amount associated with each impact fee that is collected for growth and to accommodate the growth associated with the projects. And then each of that, I'm going to go over here. You see on the left, impact fees collected. And so that was just for that time period, how much was collected. So I just made that summary here for
Right.
that fiscal year. And it's varied over, year to year, depends on performance in the market.
Okay, and that's how we went, and we spent, you say expenditures were 865, so that's how we went from the 598 to 5871.
Right, and also, there's something called credits. Here on the right side is a little cheat sheet that finance put together for people like me. I need the cheat sheet. The credits are associated with, say there's a project that, that was being already paid for by a prior development. And now I'm the new developer coming in and I'm going to, but because they already had paid the impact fees, they get a credit. So we don't, there's checks and balances so so we don't double dip. So nobody's paying twice. So if the prior developer actually already paid that, say the infrastructure was for that new road, we're not collecting from impact fees again. Also, if we're paying a project through T-Splosh, for example, or it was subsidized, somehow collected separately from where the impact fees are identifying, you would get a credit. So it's a complex program in that we work with the departments as well as finance to see if there would be a credit that would be available. So I'm explaining something that is a little out of my kin on the finance, but just to give you that abbreviation that there is a process for allowing credits to keep us honest and not double charge anyone. The other thing is the encumbrances. So there might be encumbrances that a project well, just like, as you know what they are. Yeah, so that was added to it. So you can see how the numbers all add up. But this was for that fiscal year, and then a separate one for the 6-month period following. And do you want to see the expenditures?
Sure.
So this was for, again, same fiscal year, that 12 months prior, 23 to 24. So this is by program total. And it's by project. So you can track each project to see how did we spend the money and what was it used for and what was the amount.
And as we look at the projects that are on sort of our economic development pipeline, I see impact fee eligible for some of the on the CWP list, right? For those projects that we are beginning, maybe you guys all know this, but I'm not quite sure. How is it determined what the impact fee will be? Is it because of what's in the comp plan, or is it dark arts of a cauldron and stuff? How does that work?
So it's a good time to ask that question because we are undergoing the impact fee study. So you have a consultant working for us right now who is working to go through all of the needs, what are on all your project lists, what is on all your master plans, what staff has reported the needs and facility needs are according to what you've requested, and then coming up with a calculation per facility, coming up with a calculation to update our fee. So the fee is charged by the square footage. It's charged by the type, so industrial, commercial, or residential. And it is charged by what is your a surrogate for what your need is, and the surrogate is your square footage of your facility. So if you're existing, the consultant will be much more eloquent than I. If your existing capital, the value of your existing, say, fire stations for your existing population, they'll calculate what is an appropriate prorated amount for the amount of new growth that you anticipate. So it's a formula,
Right.
which I guess is black arts as well, but formula.
Basically, you're common sizing the cost across.
Oh, see, you said
Right?
it so
That's
much
what
better.
you're
Yes,
saying.
sir. Yeah.
Common sizing
We'll be
the
coming back
cost
to
and
you.
then applying it to the project based on its square footage being the common size factor.
And we'll let you know when you have a impact fee committee, the RDA, and when they meet, because the consultant comes then too, and so you might, at least to prepare or have questions that make sure we get answered in the making of the sausage. But there'll be more details specifically on the formulas and the needs that are assumed. But you can anticipate that the recommendation will be that for some of our fees that they will go up. They haven't been increased since 2015. So if you think 10 years, just even the last few years, how much construction costs have gone up, not really keeping up.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Beeson.
Can you go back to the credit slide? So when you're discussing credits for redevelopment, is that a full credit for the previously paid impact fees, or is that a percentage of credit for the impact fees? And regardless of if it's a percentage or the full, are we really are we covering the intensification of the use with that amount? Because for instance, if you're doing a redevelopment on a property and while it has been previously developed, if the use is being intensified, are we fully capturing that when we're honoring the credit?
I'm not going to be able to answer that intelligently. Jackie might have a better idea.
I just got the light
how
jog going, so we're good.
Jackie to the rescue.
You said the word I needed to hear. So under
Credits.
Credits, under redevelopment, we'll take that one. For a project that had something that was built, let's say, in 1993 or after, and it had commercial, and they paid their impact fees. But now they came in and did like a mixed-use development. They would get credit for the square footage of the commercial, but if they had residential, then no, they would have to pay the full amount of impact fees for the residential portion. And we'd only give them credit for the square footage of the commercial that was existing. Anything over and above that, they would have to pay the impact fees for at this point in time.
So follow-up stupid question. So using your example, somebody developed a property, commercial, 1993. $1993 are not equal to $2025. So are we accounting for that as well whenever we're giving them that credit?
So we take a look at the square footage and the differences. And normally, like single-family houses are pretty much a one-for-one. If the square footages are different, like if somebody takes a house down, in the past, we were informed that it's a one-for-one, they don't have to. But I'd say in the last few years, things have, there's been a lot of discussion and we've changed a little bit. So if there's more square footage added, we would charge just for the additional square footage over if they've already paid. If it was built prior to 1993, no, they would have to pay now, obviously, because they never paid originally. So back to your other question. So we look at the square footage and try to say if there's additional square footage added onto it, then we would charge them for that currently in today's dollars. So if it was 10,000 square feet in 1993, and they're putting back 25, we're going to charge them over the 15. We're going to charge them the 15,000 based on today's numbers.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
So can I play that back to you? Sorry.
Councilmember Sells.
So I'm just going to try to play back that answer. You're saying, so if I had a piece of property, I had a commercial piece of property, and I knocked it down and it was 10,000 square feet, and I'm going to build 100,000 square feet, I'm going to pay impact fees on 90,000 square feet based on the current common size.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's if, we don't always just offer it up to people. It can be discussed. Some people are aware of the impact fee law. But most, 9 times out of 10, if they're going to say, hey, so we have commercial and we're going to commercial and we know we have impact fees. And we do know, they took a look and said, we do know this one was paid for because it was built in 1995 or whatever. And then we'd be like, yes, we'd take a look at that. And you do have to pay for the 90,000 and you'd be paying for the square footage of that now and the fee amounts we'd have today.
The theory being that whatever the infrastructure we had to put in for the 10,000 square feet is in place, and the incremental 90,000 is the additional burden. That's
Right, so there could be new infrastructure that might have to come into place now compared to what was happened then, or it has to be updated because whatever they might have there at that point in time with this new development or whatever comes in, it could be bringing all kinds of new stuff that we did not have back then in the, like, say, the 1990s. Does that help?
Councilmember Hall.
Thank you. So my question is, the impact fee law came into effect in 93, is that?
Around
or
91, somewhere around 91, 92, and then we implemented it basically almost 6 months to a year after it came into law.
So my question is, which part of the law, do we have to give any credit for anything? Is that law, or is that just something that we're being nice and deciding
No,
to
it's
do?
law. It is law, and it's also in the code related to credits, and there's also exemptions, which I'm not going to go into because it has nothing to do with
That's
this.
in state code and state exemptions,
code.
not Roswell.
Well, no, it's also, since the state code is part of our code, it's also in ours.
Okay.
So we're required to by law.
So the state code requires us to acknowledge that there was a payment, but does it dictate how much of that? Everything else is up to us. We could give $1 credit.
I'd have to take a look at that and read through it, but,
I mean, I just want to understand how much we're making the rules and how much the state is dictating the rules.
pretty much sure that if they did 10,000, then we'd have to take a look at that 10,000 and if they paid for it.
Because this
But-
just goes back to Councilmember Beeson's point, that the dollars were very, very different back then. I mean, I would speculate to say that I would look at the whole 10,000, and if it was, if you're coming back and with 25, I'd say, okay, your first 10,000, you paid at, 2 cents on a dollar, and now we're gonna charge you 5 cents, and then for the 15,000, we'll charge you the going rate of 15 cents. That would be a way that it would bring parity to that. So that's where my question is.
You could take a look, and I guess Michelle just said, ask the consultant who's doing the new updated one, since he is probably a little bit more
Familiar with
with all the laws.
Yeah.
Well,
and
yeah,
everything.
just
But we can take a look.
historically, we've put, I mean, this just goes to the point that we've set so many rules on ourselves that we don't even know where those rules came from, and we make the assumption that they're governed by somebody else when we really self-govern those and have the ability to control that destiny, our own destiny. Thank you.
Councilmember Morthland.
Looking at these percentages, what is the maximum percentage for each of these line items that is allowed by the state?
They've never actually told us an exact maximum, other than the fact that 100% is not, and we got that answer this year.
Right.
When we put in 100%, for a couple items for transportation last year, and we were told that was incorrect. They did not indicate that to us, and they said that they must have missed it when we were going through. So we made sure that was changed.
We'll find out from the consultant.
But there's, and when we talked to DCA, they just said 100%, because they know that there's no way gonna be something that's 100% filled by impact fee.
So some of the numbers up there that show 100% need to be changed.
There shouldn't be any 100% on this current one. There are 5?
Yes.
Okay, well, we will make sure those are changed, because there should not be. We spoke about that earlier, and,
Yeah, well, the
So-
consultant is reviewing it, so, yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
We'll
We'll
make
find out
sure- Mm-hmm.
what the limit it is and what is the,
we'll
and
make
the
sure those are changed.
rationale behind the limit.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Sells.
Thank you, Mayor Pro, what, Chairman, I guess you're chairman today.
Chairman, yes.
Chairman, all right, very good. Chairman Eisen. So just to walk through the math on the top one, the $22.5 million, 20%, what we're saying is that of the $2.5 million, 20% is exposed to the fee, correct?
Is allowed to
allowed
be
to be
paid
used.
for by the fee.
Up
Up
to
to
20%.
20% can be collected or covered by funds generated by the impact fee.
Gotcha. Okay, this is not on the chart side, this is on the spend side.
Exactly. Yes.
Councilmember Beeson.
Trying to fix my own citation. I've read several journal articles before on how impact fees are typically fairly underestimated for most municipalities.
Yes.
Severely underestimated.
Yes, ma'am.
Back to the conversation between myself, Councilmember Sells, and Councilmember Hall about the credits that are given. To Councilmember Sells' point, I totally understand if the infrastructure is in place for that property based off of the percentage and the square footage. My concern is moving forward, to Councilmember Hall's point, it paints us into a corner whenever we're trying to improve that. So for example, I'll use, I'm gonna mess up, I think it's Warsaw, where we had to do the water line replacement because there was asbestos lined pipes for the water line. We wound up having to tap into CDBG funds for that, whereas if we were adequately charging impact fees, in my mind, that water line would be funded through full impact fees as opposed to the credits from what was previously developed. So even in 1993, like if you assume dollar for dollar that they were even adequate, the technology isn't the same. So making sure that we're preparing in advance for when we have to either maintain or replace just the general M&O for the city. I would like to see, based off Councilmember Hall's point, what we can do in terms of credits and trying to minimize those a little bit more, just to make sure that we're covering our behind. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any further comments? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. Councilmember Morthland, second by Councilmember Beeson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 3, consideration for the mayor and/or city administrator to sign a memorandum of agreement between the city of Roswell and the 4 other North Fulton cities to initiate an update of the North Fulton Comprehensive Transportation Plan and approve budget amendment in the amount of $58,642. This item is going to be presented by Greg Nicholas, our interim director of transportation. Mr. Nicholas.
Thank you. Good evening. So the Atlanta Regional Commission is funding an update to the North Fulton Comprehensive Transportation Plan, also known as the NFCTP, in 2025 through its Comprehensive Transportation Plan Assistance Program, which was previously funded through the NFCTP, also in 2010 and 2018. Typically, the CTP is managed at the county level, but due to the fact that Fulton County is fully incorporated, ARC will be managing this project with input from all 5 North Fulton cities. Project management team with 1 staff member from each city will be selected to help guide the process. A memorandum of agreement is needed among all the cities to define the project management and decision-making. ARC will act as the project manager, securing the federal funding with GDOT, and will handle the contract and subcontracts. The city of Johns Creek will serve as the administrative city, collecting the local matching funds from the other 4 municipalities. Upon authorization from all 5 city councils, the consultant procurement will begin through ARC, and the full plan update process is expected to take 12 to 18 months, including the procurement, evaluation, public engagement, and final adoption. Staff is recommending using unprogrammed T-SPLOS 2 funds to pay for the city of Roswell's portion of the NFCTP, and the financial impact, the total estimated cost is $1.2 million. This includes $990,000 in federal funds and $247,500 required as the local match by the 5 cities. And Roswell's portion, based on the 2023 ARC population estimates, is $58,642. And with that, we will entertain any questions.
Any questions? Councilmember Morthland.
Can you shed light on how Johns Creek was chosen there? Was that out of the goodness of their heart, or are they getting an administrative fee to do so?
No, they're not getting paid anything. They volunteered.
Very good.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. Motion by Councilmember Johnson, second by Councilmember Hills. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? This passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Item number 4, consideration for the mayor and/or city administrator to authorize the sale of approximately 360 square feet of city-owned right-of-way at 11370 Crabapple Road. Mr. Nicholas.
Thank you. So we have a developer at 11370 Crabapple Road. This is at the intersection of Crabapple Road and Chafin Road. They have requested to purchase a 20 by 18 piece of right-of-way along Crabapple Road that is currently containing city drainage structure. The developer plans to integrate the structure into their private drainage system, essentially eliminating the city's need for the right-of-way. After review with transportation and the environmental public works staff, we are all in agreement that there is no need for the notch in the future based on the current design of the development, and recommend approving the sale. The applicant proposed a purchase rate of $6.35 per square foot. City staff did analyze comparable data and determined that $10 per square foot seemed to be better in this area. So just a quick, this is Crabapple and Chafin, and the red box is the little notch of right-of-way. That's the 360 square feet. And then this is just shown on their site plan. Just the red box highlighted there again. So staff is recommending the sale of the right-of-way to the developer, as there's no need for the notch. And as far as the financial impact, the city would receive $3,600 for the sale of the 360 square feet, and that money would go into the general fund. With that, we'll answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Nicholas? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. Motion by Councilmember Johnson, second by Councilmember Beeson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Item number 5, consideration for the mayor and/or city administrator to accept a right-of-way agreement from the reserve at Newton Development for roadway improvements on Nesbit Ferry Road. Mr. Nicholas.
Thank you. So this is, actually this should say the reserve at Newtown. This is over near Newtown Park and Johns Creek. There's a residential development that is fully in the city of Johns Creek, but their access is off of Nesbit Ferry, which is in Roswell in this section. As part of the project, right-of-way improvements, which would include turn lanes and multi-use trail, are required along Nesbit Ferry. To ensure the maintenance, staff requested the right-of-way be dedicated to the city of Roswell. In coordination, we coordinated with Johns Creek on this. So the dedication includes the improvement of the area plus a minimum 1-foot buffer beyond the new multi-use trail. And the total area would be approximately 0.3 acres. Just a quick map, this is the development just south of Scott Road on the east side there of Nesbit Ferry. This is just their overall site plan showing I think they have a decel lane going in. The multi-use trail is not shown on this, but the multi-use trail is being built along this whole frontage. And then as far as staff's recommendation, we are recommending the right-of-way be dedicated to the city of Roswell. And as far as financial impact, there's just minor upkeep, which will be managed through our department's operating budget once it's constructed. And with that, we'll answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Nicholas? Okay, seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. Motion by Councilmember Johnson, second by Councilmember Hills. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 6, consideration of a resolution to approve the 2025 Annual Action Plan for the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, presented by Charles Alford, Grant Specialist. Mr. Alford.
As you guys know, the city receives annual funding through HUD's Community Development Block Grant Program every year. In order to secure those funds, we have to submit an annual action plan to HUD every year. Our 2025 annual action plan is due to HUD August 16th. So I just want to do like a little refresher. I think you guys probably remember where we've committed those funds, but I just wanted to confirm that we're headed in the right direction, and also to give you an update on sort of the projects that are involved with these CDBG funds. So as we mentioned, the annual action plan specifies the intended use of the city's annual community development block grant funds. They're tied to our 5-year strategic plan, which is a HUD requirement. We started that in 2023. At the time, we identified affordable housing as the main need there, particularly as it relates to the redevelopment of the Roswell Housing Authority's 199 Grove Way, the Pelfrey Pines Apartments. So we got a total allocation this year of $406.68. I should go back and say in 2023, we went ahead and allocated our 2023 CDBG funds to the demolition and clearance of the property, which was finished this year. And then we also made another commitment to help with gap financing for the Housing Authority's low-income housing tax credit application to the DCA. To satisfy that, we decided to go for a Section 108 loan through HUD, which allows us to apply for up to 5 times our annual allocation. And we can repay that loan using our CDBG funding every year. And so the loan proceeds will go to the Housing Authority, particularly for the site work at the Pelfrey Pines redevelopment. So just so you know, we applied for that Section 108 loan in December 2024. I believe Mayor and Council approved it in July, so we applied in December 2024. I heard back from them, from HUD last Friday, and it has been approved internally. It now has to go for congressional approval, but they do believe we should have that in the next 30 days. The low-income housing tax credit closing is anticipated for August, so we should have that in time for that closing. And we will be able to start making loan repayments beginning fall of 2025. We allocated last year's CDBG funds to repaying the loan, so we have the 2024 funds, and we're recommending through this annual action plan that we continue that and apply the 2025 funds to repaying this loan. And so the plan, if you guys are okay with it, the plan's due August 16th, 2025. I would open a public comment period on Friday, the 27th. We would close that comment period on July 28th, collect any comments, and take it for a resolution at the city council meeting on August 11th, and then submit the plan to HUD after that. Questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Councilmember Hills.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Alford. I just want to clarify, that last year's CDBG money is parked for us to use toward repayment in addition to this year.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate your attention to all this and working thoroughly through this process. It's been tedious and arduous and taken a lot of time, not only on the calendar, but, for staff. So I'm in full support of this and very excited over the prospects of redeveloping 199 Grove Way. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Beeson.
Remind me, is this typically done a little bit earlier in the year? I feel like in the past, our public comment period has been like in May.
It just depends. They sent us a letter in May.
Okay.
Because of, they sent it in late May, but sometimes we've gotten it as early as February. We're technically supposed to have it the prior year if you go by the federal.
Got it. So it's because we received the federal letter later than normal that it triggered our process being later than normal. Yeah, because otherwise I would say it's obviously not ideal to have a public comment period through summer when everyone's traveling and it's holidays and people aren't around. But I understand if that's coming from the federal down, that impacts our timeline. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. Councilmember Hills.
Motion.
Motion. Second by Councilmember Morthland. All in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 7, consideration to award a demolition contract, Lita Thompson Park and Bowen and Highway 92 properties, presented by Stephen Malone, Director of Recreation Parks, Historic, and Cultural Affairs.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me this presentation tonight. Real quick, I'll jump into it. The request tonight is specific to the properties at Lita Thompson Memorial Park and Bowen and 92. We're requesting contract approval and budget authorization for demolition and abatement of 5 structurally compromised buildings. Again, the location of those 5 structures are at Lita Thompson Memorial Park and Bowen and 92 property. The issues that we've been dealing with are ongoing, include storm damage, vandalism, rodent infestation, and hazardous materials. The total contract would be not to exceed $238,315. That includes a 10% contingency. The contractor is prime contractors potentially and funded by insurance reimbursement and Park CIP Maintenance Fund. If you recall, we came before this body a couple months ago to accept a reimbursement for insurance related to the damage from the hurricane last September, I believe. I'll run through just a couple of pictures in a minute, but the timeline and next steps, if approved, permitting to follow, contract approval, work to begin within 30 days of the notice to proceed, and then the project duration is approximately 5 weeks. Real quick, I'll show you a little overview. This is Lita Thompson Memorial Gardens. You'll see the Art Center West down there. At the rear of the park, that's almost the far peak of the park right there. You'll see the red and the green box. That is the cabin and the brick house and garage. And then the blue box on the bottom left-hand corner along Highway 92 is what we call the yellow house. Real quick, this is the damaged brick home that sits on the back of the property with, as you can see, multiple damage to that property beyond repair. This is the adjacent garage with structural damage. This is what we call the cabin that is down by the pond. This is the one that's rodent infested. And this is the yellow house that's on Highway 92. We have significant issues with this house as it relates to break-ins and vandalism, I think because of the high visibility. The other two structures we're recommending are on the Bowen and 92 property. The red box right there is actually the single-story ranch brick home. And the blue box back there is the temporary trailer that's on the back of that property. Here's the single-story ranch-style home. This has had significant PD-related calls. We are addressing this facility about once a week currently to try to re-secure the building based on break-ins and vandals that are going through that structure. And this is just the temporary trailer structure that was used. It's beyond repair and more of a nuisance as it sits right now. Any questions? Yes, ma'am. Oh.
Councilmember Hills.
Thank you. No one's living in any of those, correct? They're all.
No, ma'am, these are all abandoned
I just feel like it's important to ask.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Councilmember Morthland.
On the Jones Bowen property, I saw the yellow house. There's another structure on the front side of that that's not part of this, or that is part of this?
So this is this is actually what would have been a house that actually has two phases to it. You'll see the brick side, and you'll also see the yellow clad siding that actually has a garage kind of on the back side of this.
The brick house is part of this?
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Inside, all that structure connects.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. Motion by Councilmember Hills, second by Councilmember Morthland. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? And it passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 8, consideration to award a contract with Native Instinct LLC for the water treatment plant generator in an amount not to exceed $324,802.56. Presented by Brian Watson, Director of Environmental Public Works.
Thank you.
Mr. Watson.
Thank you very much. Lost my pen, which makes me feel uncomfortable, but that's okay. Thank you, Chairwoman Izo. Good afternoon, Council. Usually I have the mayor there, so that throws me off. This first item, in October of 2022, EPW submitted on, thank you, feel much better. EPW, I'm an anal engineer, come on now. That's not funny. EPW submitted on a grant to FEMA and GEMA for a backup generator for our water treatment plant. In March of 2025, Mayor and Council approved receiving $573,686.70 from the federal government to fund that backup generator. Due to the federal procurement regulations, the city is required to actually put each of these items out to bid. So we put, the first one that we solicited for was this generator. Put it out on the, our city's website. On May 29th, we received 11 quotes for the generator that range between $313,307.25 to $565,000, with a quote submitted by Native Instinct LLC being the most responsive and responsible to do the work. Staff recommends awarding the contract to Native Instinct. With that, I'll take any questions.
Seeing no questions, we'll entertain a motion. Motion by Councilmember Johnson, second by Councilmember Sells. Before we vote on this, I just want to check. We're moving this to a special called meeting, correct?
Yeah, thank you. I didn't know if I was supposed to do that. Yeah, so I'm requesting that you all, well, if you vote on it tonight, that we bring it to the special called meeting next Monday night. The Native Instinct has agreed to hold this pricing until the end of the month, at which point it then goes up 10%. So, but they said that if we could bring it on the 30th, that they would acknowledge and accept the pricing at. So, thank you,
Okay.
Councilwoman Iso.
Well, I've been promoted. Councilmember Beeson.
With regard to that, understanding that you have a timeliness issue and you want to bring this in on Monday, can I make the request that we do it for what's typically our 5 o'clock special called session when we open it up to closure? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Just making sure.
I believe that the plan is to have the special called at 5 o'clock.
Cool.
Yes, and there'll be a couple items on that. Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Item number 9, consideration to award a contract with Kendall Supply Incorporated to relocate AMI equipment in the amount not to exceed $99,500, presented by Mr. Watson.
Thank you. So the Roswell Water Utility will be relocating equipment that is currently attached to our community circle tank. The equipment is part of our advanced metering infrastructure, AMI system. In the agenda item, it says a propagation study is being conducted. It's actually been finished since this got published. And the best location is actually a little bit more centrally located to our utility. Staff recommends awarding a contract to Kendall Supply in the amount of $99,500. We're also recommending allocating $25,500 for unforeseen circumstances. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Mr. Watson, this one also is going to the special called, am I correct?
That would be great.
Okay. All right. Let's see. If we have no further questions, we'll entertain a motion. Motion by Councilmember Sells, second by Councilmember Johnson to move this forward to the special called on June 30th, 2025. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? And it passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Last item. Item number 10, consideration of an ordinance to establish the Roswell Development Finance Program, presented by Darrell Connolly, Director of Economic Development. Mr. Connolly.
We're going to be talking about the Roswell Development Finance Program and an ordinance to establish the program. Okay, back in July 2024, we set forth an economic development strategy that the council approved. It had goals, objectives to grow the economy. We also had targeted catalytic projects, including a couple of hotels. The strategy included repositioning Roswell, diversifying the tax base for the city, and also talked about establishing a set of tools in order to encourage development. That included a tax allocation district. The Roswell Development Finance Program is another tool that we've been working on for some time. And the way we've designed this is a program to help finance hotels that are very, very difficult to finance in this particular environment. There were, in the economic development strategy, several hotels that we were looking to catalyze, and this will help to make those projects happen. The program is established pursuant to what we have as OCGA 366217. That's otherwise known as the Commercial Property Conservation, Energy, and Resiliency Act. It's something that was put into law back last year by the state, and it was broad-based legislation that said that development authorities or downtown development authorities can set up programs to finance certain types of improvements like energy efficiency, conservation improvements. What we've done is we've taken the program, and while that particular law allows a broad base of projects to be financed, we wanted to set up a targeted economic development tool. So, and we are looking at hotel projects, so specifically new hotel projects in the city. So we're also saying there's an ordinance that is before you, as well as some guidelines, and it talks about new hotel developments along with ancillary commercial uses. So if the hotel has a retail or an office use, that would also be eligible under this particular program, and it would be citywide. We are putting forth a minimum for a loan of $4 million. That would be, according to the laws, you can do a maximum of 25% of a total project. So it's a $20 million project, a $4 million loan under the Roswell Development Finance Program that we're establishing. The improvements that would be eligible are energy efficiency, water conservation, renewable energy, and resiliency. Those are certain things that hotel developers are particularly putting into their projects today. The law says that you have to do this, set up through a development authority or downtown development authority. What we are proposing here is that it be administered by the city, so we're self-administering it through the Roswell Development Authority. That would be done pursuant to an intergovernmental agreement. So we would be controlling that program. The features of the program, it uses third-party private capital. These aren't government funds. These are not, the city is not putting up any money for these projects, but private capital would finance the improvements. The loans would be paid back through a special tax assessment that would be placed on the property. By doing that, it enables property owners to improve the economics. It enables, because it is essentially a first lien with the same priority as real estate taxes, the lenders are willing to grant a lower interest rate, lower amortization, longer amortization, and also allows them to transfer a loan to a third party. So if they sell, say, the hotel to another party, that would run with the land and that can be transferred. With this program, the city would receive fees as the program administrator. We'll go into exactly what those, we're proposing those be. And then we would also collect the loan payments. So the property owner would essentially pay the loan through the city. We would then pay the lender. The program fees that we are proposing that you would be approving in the guidelines, we would have a loan application fee of $500 that is non-refundable. There's an administrative fee, 1% of the loan amount paid at closing, legal fee at 50 basis points, or essentially 0.5% for putting together all the documents that we need to do, the special assessment. And then there's also a servicing fee that the city would get, which is 1% of the annual payment, and that would be added to their annual tax bill. This particular slide shows a hypothetical comparison, shows you how this would improve the economics of a project. On the left-hand side is conventional construction financing for say a hotel. Typically you would have equity, senior debt, and then mezzanine debt. So the Roswell Development Finance Program loan, that would replace the mezzanine debt. So when you're looking at this and look at the blended rate, really talking about in conventional financing today would be about 11.6%. With using the Roswell Development Finance Program, you would have a blended rate of about 9.8%. And what that means to the property owner is about a $300,000 annual savings using a development cost of about $20 million. So it's pretty significant, and it certainly impacts the economics of a project. This slide is showing an example of the fees. If you had a $4 million loan, which is our minimum, you would have an application fee of $500. The administrative fee would be 1% of the $4 million, which is $40,000. The legal fee would be $20,000, and then annual servicing fees would be about $4,000 per year. In terms of the mechanics, since city would be the administrator of this particular program, developer would go out, get their third-party financing. They would apply for the loan through the city. The economic development team would review the project for conformity with the guidelines that you adopt. The lender would then provide the loan, and then the city would place the special assessment on the property. The developer would then build the project. City would make sure that they are adhering to the requirements in the program, and then loan repayment would be made through the special assessment. To establish the program, so today we're at the council committee. We're proposing that we have the first reading of the ordinance and the guidelines, which are in your packet, on the 14th. We would then, on the 15th, go to the RDA, the Development Authority, to approve an IGA. And then on the 24th, we would have the second reading at the mayor and council meeting of the ordinance and the guidelines, which you would approve, as well as approval of the IGA. Thereafter, we would start and launch the program with an application and procedures. So our request is your approval of an ordinance to establish the Roswell Development Finance Program. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Councilmember Sells.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple of quick things. I'd like to hit a couple of points. The first is, I want to be clear, you said it, but I want to restate this. The city is not the lender, correct? There is no city funding of the loan itself.
Correct.
And the lender would be a bank or a third party of some sort, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the special tax assessment that we discussed, which is the source of repayment of the loan, that is not coming at the expense of our taxes. That is an addition. Basically, we're taking their mortgage payment and collecting it through the taxing arm of the city. Is that
That's
correctly put?
100% correct.
Okay. And the reason that improves the interest rate for that borrower is because the risk assessment of that mezzanine debt has gone down because of the fact that it's tied to the land and to the taxing authority of the city of Roswell, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So all we're really doing is providing a way for them to reduce their borrowing costs by reducing risk and to use it for specific projects, which we tailored this program, because congrats to you two in particular for honchoing this, projects that we want, of a size that we want, and sufficient in size such that the fees that we're talking about cover the cost of administering it on a year-to-year basis, but also provide us a tool in our tool belt to drive at additional economic development. Does that sum up the project?
100% correct.
There's a question mark at the end somewhere, I'm sure.
Councilmember Hills.
Councilmember Sells brought up a good point as far as the funding. It looks like under capitalization, maybe I'm misreading this. It says the program may also leverage public funding through revenue bond issuance. Is that not on the shoulders of the residents, the taxpayers?
So the Roswell Development Authority could potentially issue a bond for the program if they so desire, but it is not.
So that's not absolute what your answer was for that, Councilmember Sells?
It is.
See IGA above.
Okay. All right, and then other question, what's the typical life of the loan for these? Is it 30?
This would be a 30-year.
And then we, the city, are, with the fees that we collect on this, are responsible for compliance. So a low-flow toilet is not going to necessarily last 30 years. I'm making it really simple here, but how does that work? So that we're not, let's say the IGA didn't hold and the RDA decided to put out a revenue bond, or I don't know, I'm just putting that out there. And the residents are paying for that, our taxpayers are paying for that, and then we've got a roof that was secure at the beginning of the loan that's energy efficient, or toilets, or the insulation, or whatever the myriad of things are that they could qualify for this. How does that work as far as what's our responsibility? How is that managed?
So to clarify, if the Roswell Development Authority issued a bond, that would be a revenue bond issued, not necessarily, this is not a GO bond, not general obligation bond paid for by the residents. It would be a third party.
Right, thank you.
So, but then you would have an amortization term of over 30 years. So it would be amortized over the 30-year period.
Okay, thank you. I had the bond wrong. Thank you for that clarification.
Councilmember Johnson.
If the hotel gets built and it goes bankrupt for whatever economic reasons before the loan is paid off, does the lender get the lien on the hotel? Does the RDA get the lien on the hotel? Who gets the hold,
It's
collateral?
a, Joe, you may want to weigh in on this, but you essentially have, if there is a default on that, you would auction off the lien on the courthouse steps, correct?
Yeah, more than likely, I think we looked at one case study in which that happened. That's the whole life of the CPACE program. It's happened one time, and the bank stepped in and paid off the debt. So that's rare, but it's something to think about. Normally, the bank would step in and take over.
Yeah, it's just like a tax lien.
Councilmember Sells.
Sorry, it's just like a tax lien. They sell it, they settle it, and they sell the tax lien, and if they get 10 cents on the dollar, then that settles the debt. We're not in any way on the hook for the debt, at all.
Correct.
Councilmember Morthland.
So it's my understanding of the state statute here, the OCGA 366217, and Mr. Conley, you touched on it earlier. It's very general, it's broad. Lots of things can go into this thing. And I understand that we're talking about tonight this just being a hotel scenario for economic development reasons. My ask tonight is that the housing authority in Roswell would also be beneficial to this scenario as well. I know we have this on the potential calendar to come forward in 2 weeks' time, but my ask is that can we get legal to look into the fact that would it be acceptable to include the Roswell Housing Authority into this conversation? And is the end of the month acceptable to get that answer back? Because again, it is very broad, it is very wide-ranging.
Yeah, be happy to look into that and then ultimately add the language for the housing authority between now and that first reading of the ordinance.
Okay. So that would be my request, is that this get pushed back 2 weeks on the calendar for the first reading to give legal enough time to find that answer, and then everything else flow right past.
You can do that.
Further questions, comments? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. Motion by Councilmember Morthland, second by Councilmember Johnson. Any further questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
One second. Just to clarify, we are making the motion and voting on 4 weeks down the road, not 2 weeks down the road.
Yeah. Is that acceptable?
The first reading being the end of the month, to give you ample time.
So is there any pressing projects that, why did you pick the 14th?
It's the first mayor and council after.
Okay, so there's no pressing projects, there's no reason not to accommodate the question?
No.
Okay. And Joe, the Housing Authority pays pilot, you couldn't secure the loan in the same way as you can a privately held piece of property. So I'm not even sure this fits.
Need to look into it a little further. There is housing authorities that have used CPACE loans.
Okay.
Now, yeah, to your point, I don't know.
What does the lender do? They can't foreclose.
Correct, but yeah,
So the whole purpose of the thing is to give security to the lender that they don't have in a standalone mezzanine piece of debt. So I'm a little confused by how this could be used for the housing authority.
and I want to look into further how other cities have utilized it with their housing authorities.
Okay.
I think there's been some creative ways they've utilized it, and I think it's probably worth looking into and
Sure.
getting an answer on.
Okay, yeah, just a little confusing to me. Thank you.
All right, so we had a motion by Councilmember Mortland, and do we have a second?
Do I need to amend that motion, or are we good on that motion?
On the date.
On the
On the
date.
date. So you want to move that to
July 28th.
28th? Okay, July 28th. The second by
I think it's the 24th.
24th?
20
Thank you. July 24th, second by Councilmember Johnson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
It's the 28th.
It's the 20. All right, okay. The 28th, okay. Councilmember, okay, we had a motion by Councilmember Mortland to move it to the 28th, second by Councilmember Johnson. All in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. That concludes the committees of council. We'll entertain a motion for adjournment. Councilmember Johnson motion, second by Councilmember Beeson. All in favor? And this meeting is adjourned. Have a great evening.